content creator is in no way campaigning for nor endorsing this candidate. This recording is only an opportunity to appear on this platform to convey concerns for the city, express motives for running for office, plans I've elected, and intentions to work for and with all constituents.
Welcome to another episode of the Air Hustler Podcast, where everybody has a story and God gets glory.
This is my tartan. And I'm very proud. Let me step over here. I'm very proud of my Irish heritage. You can kind of see it in my cheekbones. But my tartan is Patrick. My mother, I'm third generation from Ireland, and the Patrick tartan is ora et labora, which means work and pray. Now that's what I'm all about. So that's what you see here. Now the Patricks date all the way back to the McLarens. You've probably heard of the McLaren car. That's that family, but I'm not a part of that. I didn't get any of that inheritance. But if it's an MC, McLaren, then that's the Irish Gaelic. If it's an MAC, the MacLaren, that's the Scottish. Because there's just a wee little space between Scotland and Ireland, and so the Patrick clan is actually a Scottish, of Scottish roots, but we came from Ireland.
We have a very special guest, Washington, Georgia District 2 City Council candidate, Mrs. Kimberly Cork. How are you doing this afternoon, Ms. Kim?
I'm doing great. It's actually Ms.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. All right.
Hey, Patrick, what an honor to be with the king of podcast YouTube channels, the great Patrick Howe with the ear.
Okay, thank you. I try to be. Yes, most of the time I ask people about themselves, which I will, but I did a little research on you leading up to this, to coming with you today. I noticed in my researching, I found out that you grew up in West Virginia, then you found your way out in Colorado Springs, out in the Denver area. You went to the Metropolitan State University out in Denver. I see that you are the owner and proprietor of Extraordinary Wine and Whiskey House. And you moved here to Washington 2 years ago, and you're the proud owner of the Market on Depot. Anything else you would like to add to that?
Oh, the story is long. We'll get to little snippets today, but I see that you're wearing your CU colors.
I saw that you had previously lived out in the Colorado area, and I recently became a big Buffalo fan. You know, I'm so proud of what Coach Prime is doing with the young guys.
I know, he's doing a great job. A winning season going on there.
Yes,
hey, you know, you started me out with where I began in life, and I'm very proud of that. I'm a West Virginia girl. I'm very proud to have grown up in West Virginia. And a lot of people don't know this about me, but I am, and I can belt it out too, a coal miner's daughter. And I grew up on a farm in West Virginia. And my parents, it was very humble beginnings. So what's really cool about where I started in life and where I find myself today is I feel like I've sort of come kind of full circle, Patrick. I started out a little kid in a farmhouse, and here I find myself in a farmhouse in Washington, Georgia. On a farm there now. It's a bigger farm. My daddy raised cattle and chickens, and they had horses and pigs, but always a garden. And the reason for the garden was big family.
Yes,
there were 8 of us kids, and you got to feed a family of that size. You just learn how to live off the land, and that's really what we did.
Yes, ma'am. I also noticed that you had attended a Bible college, and which you had already told me about that you were a minister as well. And nothing wrong with the wine. Hey, Jesus' first miracle was turning water into wine.
Jesus knows how to throw a party.
All right. And I thank you for allowing me inside your home today to sit down with you. And the reason I'm here, of course, is we want to let the people know, what are your plans for the city and what made you want to run for city council, because we know this is a small town and it's, kind of traditional.
There was a time in my life when my children were young when in between jobs, hard time. And so in order for me to feed my children, I couldn't eat. So I fed my children and I didn't eat. I know what it's like to have to figure out, how do I pay my light bill or do I put food on my table? And that's the reason I'm running for city council in Washington, Georgia. Because we should not have to figure out whether or not I'm going to pay a light bill, whether I'm going to feed my children. The reason I'm running for city council in Washington, Georgia is because, well, quite frankly, I think we need some equality. I think we need a balance of power. We've got, it's very genderistically, but all men on our city council. And last I looked, 56% of the voters here in Washington are women. And last I looked, when I went back to the book of Genesis, it says, God created them in his image. Male and female created he them. And so I feel like we need to have that balance of power in our city. I want to be a voice for moms, young moms in particular, and I want to be a mentor for young gals who, they have a vision, who have a dream, who want to, maybe they're right now at home raising their kids. Been there? I have been there. And that's where you're supposed to be. That's a great place to be, because that's this city's greatest assets. Let me repeat that. Our historic homes are not our greatest assets. Our children are our greatest assets. And that's what we've got to nurture. What kind of a legacy do I want to leave when I'm no longer here? I want to leave a legacy of helping young families, young moms, to be able to achieve their dreams. When I moved to Washington, I came here with bright ideas and big dreams because, as you noted, I've done a few things. Well, the Extraordinary Wine and Whiskey House, that's what I started after I got my degree at Metropolitan State University. But previous to that, I've been a serial entrepreneur, but I've worked in the tech industry, doing things like you're doing. I was on radio. I had a 5-year run on iHeartRadio. I've done a few things in my life. I've worked at various big businesses, small businesses. When I came to Washington, I had this dream. I am right there between that second and third base, and I'm like, I've got some stuff inside me that I don't want to take to my grave. And I came here with some big dreams. And when I called City Hall, and I began having a conversation with them about, these are my dreams, this is what I want to do, the first words out of their mouth.
They probably laughed at you.
Well, the first words out of their mouth was no. I heard no 3 times in one sentence.
You seem like you have a lot of great ideas and concern and compassion for the people, not just one group of people, but everyone. And you're actually running in District 2. And one thing you said a few minutes ago was about the diversity on the council. Historically, we have had women to serve. Yeah. I don't really want to get to calling names, but I may forget somebody. But I remember we've had like Minister Patricia Wilder was a city councilman, I believe. Pam Eaton. I think we've had Ms. Anna Norman. We've had Kim Rainey.
Mildred Barnett, I believe.
Yeah, Mildred Barnett and Miss Erlene King. So we have had women on there. And to be honest, as I think about it, when we had women serving on the council, I think it was a lot less chaos and conflict and confusion in the council meetings. So maybe, getting a woman back on the council would be a great thing. But I know you are the only female that's running in District 2, am I correct? And that's such a tricky district because the reason I say that, as you may know, they redid the district some years ago, and usually a white district and a black district for, you know, I mean, that's usually what it seems like. And you are running in the predominantly white district.
Yeah.
And it seems like they play chess or something. It's like they always try to strategically plan and make moves they promote certain candidates or, you know, a certain group of people, maybe from a certain church or something. You know, it's like a team or something, like they get together and you kind of already know who the people, quote, are pushing to be. So it's 4 candidates in District 2 running, am I correct?
Correct.
So you and Warren Jackson, I believe, are the only candidate that is probably... This is just me talking, you know.
Right.
I think you all are probably the only one that's running it because you wanted to. Yeah. But maybe I think those other 2 maybe, you know, maybe some other kind of plan or plot or something, because I think everybody is a lot of people are probably going to support 2 people no matter what, no matter who else runs, because that's maybe their plan. I mean, maybe the same thing with the mayor. I mean, it was said somewhere that, you know, they had selected a candidate to run and somebody else got in the race. You know, a lot of people got upset. But it's a certain group of people in this town that think they control this town. But me and you both are God believers, and we know that God is in control of everything. So, you know, I don't put my trust and faith in man. And it seems like some people are only concerned about one group of people, their people, and not everybody as a whole. And then some people fill churches every Sunday. Some people be deacons. Some people teach Sunday school. But the devil even knows the word. So it's like, how can the Bible say, how can you say you love God whom you never seen when you can't, you know, love the people, your brothers and sisters that you see every day? And it's easy to tell somebody that you love them, but are you showing them that you love them in their action? You know, like, just for instance, those ridiculous late fees on the electricity bill. Come on, if people are already suffering, can't afford to pay the light bill, why are you going to pour salt on the wound and charge them $55? What would Jesus do? Yeah. But those are, you know, go ahead.
No, I just, you triggered a thought when you said, what would Jesus do? You remember those bracelets they used to say,
right.
What would you, I think we maybe need to bring that back, especially to Washington. Now, many people say, well, you've only lived here for 2 years, you're not from Washington. Well, no, I'm not from Washington, but I live in Washington. I pay taxes in Washington. I pay the high utility bills in Washington. So I'm not from Washington.
Let me ask you this. How long do you have to be a resident in Washington before you run for office?
In Georgia, you have to be here in 2 years.
Okay. So you met those qualifications.
I met those. Well, you said earlier that there were people who were handpicked. I think you used the word strategic. I don't know that I would call it that. Somebody called it an underground horse race. I kind of think it's a little like that. I wasn't part of that communication. I wasn't in that conversation. In fact, as often as I have tried to volunteer my time, bring my resources and my body of knowledge to the current leadership of this city, I've been turned down. I've been blackballed. We've got to stop this. All over this great city, there are people with great knowledge. We've got a community of retirees that we can tap into and bring that knowledge to our city.
So I didn't mean to interrupt you.
Yeah, you're fine.
Let's get this out there.
Yeah.
Now, what I like about you, you stand on what you believe in, no matter what the outcome is.
Yes, sir.
Now, I know I explained to you a few times about District 2.
Yeah.
I told you who are the mostly the voters over there.
I got it.
And those are people that look like you. But
nobody looks quite like me because I'm created in
but you know what I'm saying.
My race.
Right.
The Caucasian.
Right. But even though you've noticed a lot of things here in the 2 years you've been here, plus, been warned about those votes, you still are standing on your principles and what you believe in. And that is, that's commendable, that even though you know what you're up against, you're still standing in what you believe is right.
Well, Patrick, I'm out knocking on the doors of the people in this community. I know where to go. I know where my district is. I'm knocking on the doors of the people in this community, and I'm talking to some of the most amazing people. And here's the deal. There is a nucleus of people who do attempt to control the narrative. I'm just going to call it for what it is. There's a reason for all of that. Part of the reason for all of that is you control the narrative, you control the purse. We, the citizens of Washington, Georgia, District 1 and District 2, it is time for us to rise up. Look, we've talked about this. Change takes courage. I say that everywhere I go. It's time for us to take back. This is a $35 million enterprise, and we leave it in the hands of a few small people. You wouldn't take your hard-earned paycheck up to the bank, take it over to the bank president and drop it on his desk, and then say to him, here, okay, do whatever you want to do with it. I trust you, you're the bank president. No, you invest your money, and then you want it to be there so that you can make deposits and withdrawals. You need to be able to go to your city administrator. You need to be able to go to your city council. You need to be able to go to your mayor. And you need to be able to say, I have this vision. I have a dream. And I want to see that dream come to life here in the city where I live. And I want my children to prosper from my dream. And you need to have a city council and a mayor and a city hall, everyone around you rallying you to success. That's what we need, not what I dealt with. What I dealt with is unthinkable. What I dealt with is unthinkable. Not only was I told no 3 times in 1 sentences when I first brought my plan, I was told, I don't know how many times, I'm going to shut you down for stuff that didn't make any sense. It was completely ridiculous. But let me tell you, this is where the rubber meets the road. I'm getting a little fired up, and yeah, that's the redhead in me. When I finally got my doors open, and it was a huge hurdle because I was promised by the current mayor and the city council and by an economic development person who caused me to spend a lot of money to try to see my vision come to life. And after I did all of that, I went to sign the paycheck so that I could get the license, and suddenly an ordinance appeared that I wasn't allowed to do what I had.
An existing ordinance or a new ordinance?
I don't know, because it was in the municipal code. I don't know when it was entered into the municipal code, because if you ever attempt to get any information from City Hall, good luck with that. I've written emails, I've even written letters, and I'm currently working with the Attorney General because of the open records law, because we can't get information from City Hall. But let me finish that story real quick. Here's what happened. I opened my business, the very first Georgia-grown farm bureau, bringing local produce, Georgia-made products right here, the very first ever general store that is a Georgia-grown store right here in Washington, Georgia. And I'm open 2 months. And in those 2 months, I have to do this where I'm changing my checks around. And according to the city, my electric bill check bounced. Well, it didn't bounce because the money was always there. So I went up and talked with the city administrator, told him what had happened. He told me to go up to the bank and to get a letter from the bank. Well, the bank wouldn't give me a letter, but the bank president said he would take care of it, and I believed him. And on a Friday morning, I went to the market on Depot. Friday is my biggest day. This is the day when the community comes together to get their fresh produce. On a Friday morning, I go to open my little store over in District 1, and the electricity is turned off for a $37.50 charge that I didn't know. And then when I called both the mayor and the leaders of this city, they told me, well, just go pay the $37.50. And I said, I don't know the $37.50, and I'm not paying it. This is a bank error. And our city administrator knew that because I'd already had the conversation with him about that. They shut down I was targeted. And I don't
Yeah,
know if I was
if-
targeted because I was a woman.
Well,
It sure feels
if it was another business that'd been here for a while, I'm sure they probably wouldn't have turned it on. They would have worked out some kind of arrangement for them.
I will tell you though what I did. I started calling the women in this community, women that I know, and I said to them, this is what's happened. And those women in this community rallied around me. And within an hour or so, my electricity was turned back on. So I know that we can make a difference. We ought to have community gardens, and if you elect me as your city council representative, I will see to it that we have community gardens all over this great city, where everybody has access
Well, since
to
you're
locally grown food.
since you are a great gardener, we definitely need some people in this city in leadership to help grow this city.
Yes, let's grow this city. In fact, I'd like to take you out to my garden and show you some things.
It's always been like I said again, this is just my observation. Seems like it's always a few families in Washington that are wealthy that pretty much, I'm not going to say control, but want to control the town and how things go and who gets elected and what comes to town, whose businesses prosper, who stays in business and who they try to put out of business, you know, and you can ride by the city, you can ride through the city and look in yards and you can see who certain people are endorsing. That kind of reminds me a little bit of that, what do you call it, the underground
Horse race.
Underground horse race. That's kind of made me think about that underground horse race. But, you know, maybe because of the underground horse race and stuff like that is the reason this town seems so dead, you know. You know, not only me, I live, I have property here, registered voter, but I work out of town and stuff. But a lot of people say the people that don't live here, when they come to town, as soon as you could be in Rail, Tigner, out in the Tyrone community, Aonia, in the county, it's like good. But as soon as you hit that sign that says Washington city limit or city limit of Washington, it's like a dark cloud just hits you. It's like it's just so dead. It's so, especially in the winter, it's so bare. The trees are so bare. It's just so like a very desolate place. And it didn't used to be like that. Years ago, Washington had a thriving economy. I mean, we had businesses here. People would come here to, now the tourism is mostly, white tourists, but back in the day, we had black people and all kind of people come to Washington for various things. We had stores that people would come and shop and could buy clothes and shoes. You don't even have a place here you could go get a decent pair of sneakers at. Yeah. You got to go out of town, to get a pair of Nikes or Reebok or even an outfit,
Right.
We don't have any major like name store or anything. And it's just sad that people, don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with mom and pop stores, but it's 2023. We got to stop living like it's 1953.
That's what I say all the time, Patrick. It's 2023. It's not 1923. It's not 1823. We've not got to be in the present, but we also have to be looking toward the future. You said, there's some things that you said that really struck a chord with me. One of the things that you talked about was our current economy, where the economy was, where the current economy is. I want to talk about where the economy can be. As I said, I knock on doors. People tell me, these are the things I want. I have school-age kids, and I have to go to Walmart and Thompson to do my school supply shopping or to get clothes for my kids. We know that we have a $3 million leakage out of this city that goes to what I call the Oreo cookie. We've got the Augusta on one end and Athens on the other. And I'm trying to say to people, if you've ever eaten an Oreo cookie, that yummy stuff in the middle is what brings it, and the cookie is what brings it all together. We need to be that, but we can't absorb.
I've been called an Oreo.
Yeah, you've been called an Oreo. Okay, well,
no, go ahead.
So, we've got to grow our economy, and we've got to offer people places to shop. But until we fix the current situation that we have, people can't afford to shop. People can't afford to because they can barely afford to pay their utility bills. I have people who come in to my little store, and I have these beautiful fresh melons and fresh out of the garden cucumbers and tomatoes, and sometimes I'll see them, look at them, and then I can see the calculations running in their brain. Can I afford this tomato and this cucumber? We got to stop that.
Miss Kelly, let me ask you something. Mm-hmm. I've always wondered this. Well, you may not be the right person to ask. Because a lot of people complain, they be like the utility bills are way expensive, and certain people that I'm familiar with, and a lot of people are like, I wonder what the light bills are like over in the white people's neighborhood. Do they have to pay those high light bills? So I don't even want to ask you what your...
Yeah, go ahead. Let me tell you.
Okay, what is your utility bill?
Let me tell you, last month, now this is, you were talking about cray-cray? This is cray-cray. So last month, between my house here, and my little market over on Depot Street, between my utility and my broadband, my bill was $1,000. I didn't make $1,000, so I'm having to tap into every ounce of savings that I have. But here's the cray-cray part about this.
That's for the business and the home together, or?
For the business, my electric bill here last month was the utility bill last month was $548.
So it's $1,000 at the business.
Well, no, you put both of them together. It was $1,000. I didn't make $1,000 in that business last month. There is no, I couldn't pay my bill and that one. I had to tap into all the savings that I have to be able to pay my utility bill. Here's the cray-cray part about this. My AC hasn't worked since about the 1st of June. My HVAC system broke. I'm in the process of trying to get quotes, which is a nightmare. Trying to get quotes, the cost is exorbitant. And so I haven't had any air conditioning in my house for over 6 weeks. And yet I have the highest utility bill that I've ever had. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, let me ask you something now. And I know you moved here 2 years ago, and I'm sure you're running for office. You don't plan on leaving anytime soon. So if for some reason you're not elected, what are your plans for this city, and how do you plan to serve the people in this? And what do you plan to do for the city and the citizens here if not elected?
I plan to be elected, Patrick. I didn't get in a race to not win. And that's the reason I knock on doors, and that's why I talk to the great people of this city. And by the way, there are far more people in this city who really want to see change than there are the few who want to keep things the way that they are. Look, here's what I know about politics. I'm not a politician, but here's what I know about politics. If you have a certain group of people out of a certain organization, be it religious, political, or a civic organization, and you take those people and you say, you're my person, and I'm going to see to it that you get elected, don't you think that person is going to be beholden to that community that they are so attached to?
Yeah, I think it is a lot more people more open-minded and won't change now because they're probably like the generational gap. A lot of the people now are probably a little younger and grew up with the culture or whatever. They understand how you know, it's a big melting pot. You got to, you know, learn how to work with everybody. I think it's more of that older generation that's, as you say, roots. Once that tree gets deep rooted, they're just stuck in their ways and not going to change for anything. And I don't know too much about the plant talk, but is it a process like the what do you call it when like the old leaves fall off and the new ones bloom?
So there
sometimes
it's called dormancy in the plant life. In the horticulture life, it's a natural season that God ordained, where the plants go back to sleep, they go back into their roots. The reason that they're doing that is they're going deep, deep, deep down into the soil. They're getting the water tables so that they can sustain themselves through the hard, harsh months of the winter, so that they can come back again at the spring and get their leaves and shoots. Hey, I could talk with you about this stuff all day long, but I do want to say this to you, because I want to give credit to where credit is due. I am so blessed to have that little market on Depot, because over there I get to meet some of the most amazing people. And some of the people that you talk about are some of the elderly people that come, they're regulars over at my store. And they've come and they've spoken to me. They may not be vocal about it, but they want to see change, because they don't want to die and leave the city. And even though they know they're on that third base to home, they don't want to leave the city as it is. Change takes courage. You ask me, what am I going to do if I'm not elected? I don't think that way. I think I'm in it for the win. This one thing I do, said the great apostle. I forget those things that are behind me, and I press on. And he said, I do that because I'm here to win the race, and I am here to win this race.
Okay, that's great. Faith.
Faith.
That's right.
That's exactly right. Faith over fear. It's on the bracelet right there. Faith over fear.
Yeah, well, Miss Kim, I am so thankful that you allowed me to come and sit down with you today to let some of the people know who Kimberly Cork is. I don't know if you like Kim or Kimberly.
You know, it's okay. It's like the old commercial used to say, you can call me Ray, you can call me Jay, just don't call me late for dinner. Yeah. You can call me Kim, you can call me Kimber, you can call me Kimmy. I don't care. Just vote for me in this municipal election. We begin October 16th. Well, I think it's for the early, starts around the 13th on the 16th, and goes all the way through. And then on November 7th is the Telltale Story. And hey, stay tuned to the Ear Hustler podcast, because we may have some fun things around the corner for all of you voters.
Oh yeah. And Miss Kim, if someone has a question or something, how could they get in contact with you?
Yeah, thank you so much. So Kimberly at WashingtonCityCouncil.com. That's pretty easy to remember if you want to email me. But here's my phone number. I'm going to put it out there. It's just real easy. Here's my phone number. 706-306-3008. Feel free to call me, text me, and if you'd like for me to come to talk with your organization or even sit down with your family, I'm happy to do that.
Okay. Yeah, Miss Kim, this is my second time ever meeting you, and I could say that, the Bible says, try the Spirit by the Spirit, and I can say that you have a wonderful spirit. That's why I didn't bring any notes with me or anything. I just said, I was just going to let all the spirits connect and just let it flow. And again, I thank you for welcoming me into your beautiful home here, that you've done such a beautiful job. And I've learned so much during this episode, and also I've learned a lot off the camera just of I had a private tour of home.
Yeah, nice. Look, Patrick, I'm humbled and I'm honored. I'm honored to be on this podcast with you, but I'm also honored to run as a city council in District 2, because I believe that I have come into the kingdom